What's going on? Welcome back into another video, and today is, I believe, the first ever TV review that I'm ever doing. But before we get into that, first off, I want to say happy May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Today is Star Wars Day. So originally, today was going to be a completely different video. But I decided I'm finally caught up on the Clone Wars. I've been watching the final season, season 7, and the finale came out last night. So I was like, let's just review season 7. I was gonna do it eventually, but I was like, you know what, let's push back the videos that I already had planned, and let's do it today, specially for you guys. So real quick, I gotta go run and get something. You can't have a true Star Wars May the 4th celebration without a good lightsaber action. But yeah, today we are reviewing season 7 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. I'm very much looking forward to it. I really enjoyed the final season. I enjoyed the show overall. I really did. It makes me appreciate the prequels more. It really does, because you're getting all of this backstory, you're seeing all of these other battles. I was in the midst of watching the Clone Wars, doing my binge as I rewatched the prequels, and I can honestly say that the Clone Wars gave me a bigger appreciation for the prequels. Like that's one thing I want to get out there right away. No, the prequels are not great movies. They are still some of the lower level, especially the first two are still some of the lower level movies on the list. Doesn't change where I rank them, but I have a bigger appreciation for them because of some things that are done in the Clone Wars. It's a lot more story building, a lot more canon, and you can do that because it's TV. It's like 23 episodes a season or some obnoxious thing like that. You're able to build off more stories, you're able to build more canon, and I really enjoyed this experience. So I think without further ado, this isn't gonna be like Movie Review Wednesday, really at all. I'm going to do my review. I'm going to give you the good, give you the bad, tell you what I liked, tell you what I didn't like. There's no ranking, there's no review. I'm just going to give you my overall thoughts. And then in the comments below, let's have a conversation. Let me know what you thought of Season 7 of The Clone Wars. Was it a satisfying conclusion for you? I will give you my answer to that a little bit later, whether or not it was a satisfying conclusion. But I want to hear from you guys. So let me know down below in the comments, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tell me why. And before we get into the review, also, I want to say first off, thank you so much for taking the time to click on the video, liking, commenting, subscribing. All of that means the absolute world. Thank you so much for taking the time. These are very uncertain times, these are very trying times, and you decided to check out my content. That means the absolute world. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video with all your Star Wars friends. Today is Star Wars Day. We are celebrating Star Wars. So make sure you do that. Share it with all your friends, and we can all have a nice conversation down in the comments. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Alright, so we're going to get started. I'm just talking the good and the bad, what I liked, what I didn't like. We're not going to do all the Movie Review Wednesday type stuff, but the first thing I want to start on is just the overall storytelling. And that kind of goes through the entirety of the show. That's the thing, is I'm kind of reviewing part show, part season. The storytelling in the entire show is great. It is. You are able to weave it, interchanging with the movies. You're able to bring in new things while also bringing in old things that you already know. You bring in all the characters you know and love, and bring in new characters that you haven't met before. That's something that was done really well in the TV show, but it was also done really well in this season. I think there are 3 arcs in this season. 2 of the 3 I really enjoyed. One of them I was not the biggest fan of. I'll talk about that in the bad. But the arc with the Bad Batch at the very beginning of the season, I really enjoyed. The arc that runs parallel with Revenge of the Sith at the end, I really enjoyed. There's that middle arc that I was not the biggest fan of, but it wasn't bad. So the overall storytelling of this season was pretty good. They had the very difficult task of running parallel with Revenge of the Sith, a movie that a lot of people think is one of the best. So they had to do that, and they had to tie up these characters' stories in that way. But it was also tough because you know the fate of some of these characters, because in Rebels, or the Resistance. I haven't seen either of them, but I know in Rebels, two of the main characters that have conclusion in this film, you know the fate of them in Rebels. So you had to still come up with a very satisfying conclusion for this arc of their character. You know they're going to have an arc later, but you have to conclude their arc now. Next thing I want to say is the animation was breathtaking. I mean, you've seen the side-by-side comparisons of characters from earlier seasons as opposed to characters now. It's no secret. Animation has evolved, it's changed, it's gotten better, and I'm not really going to make a big point of this, but like it's just really good. Like the animation is stunning. It is like a movie event. It's like a theatrical event. There were certain scenes, especially in the finale, because I just watched the finale last night. There was specific scenes in the finale that I was like, this looks like either a piece of art or it looks like something you'd see out of a movie. Major props to everyone that did the animation. It was fantastic. It was just so, it was so breathtaking. It really was. There was some shots in this movie, I said movie because it's like a movie, but there were some shots in this final like episode, let alone season, that were just breathtaking. I said it in my review. I said the final shot of this show is awe-inspiring because of what it stands for, what it symbolizes, and also just the animation itself is just amazing. The next thing I want to say is I love the. We're going to talk, a lot of what we're going to talk about is the final episode and the final arc, which is parallel to Revenge of the Sith. It's done really well. Like, even down to music. When Ahsoka goes and starts the Siege of Mandalore, they play the exact same musical cues as they did at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith to symbolize that they are happening simultaneously at the same time. That is awesome. And little details like that are what made this final season of the Clone Wars so special. It was done very well. Having lines of dialogue that you saw in the movies be from different points of view, like things that Mace Windu and Yoda were saying, that you saw them saying it in person in Revenge of the Sith. You see them in like a hologram saying it to somebody else. Like, that was really awesome to see different points of view of this movie. I love Revenge of the Sith. It's my second favorite Star Wars movie. And to see the parallels of Revenge of the Sith with this was awesome for a fan of Revenge of the Sith like I am. The next thing I would say is the relationship between Rex and Ahsoka. That was awesome. I love this relationship. You're going to see it in Rebels. They also have a relationship as well. It's one of the most heartfelt relationships because you know when at the end of the show, you know that Anakin, who I loved the relationship between Ahsoka and Anakin. They had one of the best relationships in the show. That relationship is no more because you know Anakin has now gone to the dark side. So having that secondary relationship with Rex and Ahsoka is awesome. It's just awesome. And to see where they end up at the end is very satisfying. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, that was just something I wanted to add in there. That was an element of the storytelling that I really liked. Another thing is just the emotion. You felt the gravity of what these final episodes, this final season was. It was an epic, and you felt that, and you knew that. And there was a lot of emotion involved, especially knowing what was happening in the parallels of the final episode. You felt for Ahsoka, she was on her back foot. You learn to love this character. You meet this character. Like, Ahsoka is now, I said it in my tweet when I sent it out this morning, Ahsoka is one of my favorite Star Wars characters now. She's amazing. I love her. I love her to death. She's awesome. And there was a lot of great emotion because you could feel the agony inside her. You could, see the different things that she was going through, and it was awesome. It was great. The final sequence of the show is amazing. It really is. The final, I'd say, 10 minutes of the show is one of the best finale sequences of a show ever. To see Darth Vader come in and know it's Anakin, and to see, him pick up Ahsoka's lightsaber, light it up, and then to see the final shot. The final shot of Darth Vader walking away from the clone helmet, seeing the reflection through the clone helmet. This was, for me, very symbolic. where you see Darth Vader looking over the graves of all of these clones that were buried by Rex and Ahsoka after the starship or the carrier went down. It was very symbolic because you could tell that, like, this is burying the clones, burying the Clone Wars. Clone Wars are over, and there's a new reign. Like, that's kind of the symbolism that I saw in that. You're so, like, you're burying not only the clones, but you're burying the Clone Wars. Like, the Clone Wars is done. We are pushing it away, and Darth Vader walking away from the clone mask is him walking away from the Clone Wars. It's over. It's done. That was kind of the symbolism I took away from it. I could be dead wrong. I could, but that's what I took from it. I'm always looking for symbolism. I love symbolism, especially in movies and TV. And that was just something that I saw, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So that's kind of what I saw from it. Now you want to know, is this a satisfying conclusion? Did I like it? Did I not like it? Yes. This was, I would say, I have not watched a lot of TV, but I have finished a lot of TV. And this is probably one of the most satisfying conclusions that I've had in TV. I've not seen Breaking Bad. I have not seen some of these other shows where they say the finales are amazing. I haven't seen any of those shows. Let me know what show I should watch next down below in the comments. But this was by far one of the most satisfying conclusions I could have had. It was amazing. I'm still very, very salty about Game of Thrones, even though that is over a year ago now almost. I'm still pretty salty about how that conclusion ended. But this was satisfying across the board. Because you knew where it was going. You know how it's going to continue. So I thought, this wasn't a goodbye, like I said, to Ahsoka and Rex. This was a see you later, because we're going to see them in Rebels. This was a very satisfying conclusion to tie up the Clone Wars and the Clone Wars. And again, that final sequence. The final sequence is amazing. So this was a very, very satisfying conclusion. Dave Filoni, I think, is a genius. He is fantastic. He is very, very good. Very excited to see what he does next. And really, when you think about it, not only is this the story of the Clone Wars, but this is the epic of Ahsoka Tano. This is really her story with sub-stories. You meet, the first thing you have is you have the Clone Wars movie, which, yes, is not great. Granted, not great at all. You meet Ahsoka. Like, that's one of the major things, is Ahsoka is introduced. And then the last episode, Ahsoka leaves. This is her story. That's what this is. You see her character development more than anyone else, because you get the character development of everyone else in the movies. This is Ahsoka's story, overall. It's only fitting that we see what happens to her. We didn't see what happened to anybody else. We saw what happened to her. And I really liked it. It was a very satisfying conclusion. Ahsoka Tano is now one of my favorite Star Wars characters. She is the MVP. This is her story. And it was done very well. And it was concluded very, very well. Guys, that's the good. That's just the good. And I've been rambling. That's the good. The bad. The only bad is the middle arc. I like it. I like the themes that is played in it. I like, I really liked actually the sister characters. I thought they were really cool. And I thought they were really, really funny and awesome. I thought they were great characters. I was just kind of like, why are there 4 filler episodes? Why are there 4 filler episodes? Obviously, the last 3 or 4 episodes were great. But the middle, I was like, I was iffy with it. That's a bad, because that's really the only thing I can nitpick. This season was actually really good. But yeah, that was kind of it. So overall, very satisfying conclusion. I really enjoyed it. I really had a fun time watching the Clone Wars. It was a bit of a drag at times, but overall, it was a very fun experience. Let me know down below in the comments, what did you think of the final season of the Clone Wars? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was the conclusion satisfying? Let me know down below in the comments. I would love to talk to you guys about it. But guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much again for taking the time to click on the video, liking, commenting, subscribing. All of that means the absolute world. But guys, that's pretty much it. May the 4th be with you. Happy May 4th. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.